Hi everyone, this is Dr. Darshini. I'm assistant professor in the Department of Anesthesiology. Today we are going to see about the advanced mode of ventilation. So we have learned about the basic mode of ventilation. So what are the advanced mode? What are the newer technologies that are available for the ventilation? So we'll see that today and how can we incorporate all those modes of ventilation in today's practice and how it will benefit the patients and how it will help us to modify our management. So first we'll start with what are the problems with conventional mode of ventilation. So with the problems of conventional mode that we use basic modes are a ventilator setting appropriate for one point of time may not be optimal. May not be optimal once the patient starts deterioration or if the patient starts improving. So once the ventilator is setting appropriate for one point of time may not be optimal if the patient deteriorates or if the patient improves. So the conventional mode of ventilation will deliver the set parameters and will not take any feedback from the patient. So the classical volume or pressure control modes are open loops, which means the feedback loop is absent. But in newer modes, they target to make alterations with changing lung characteristics and take feedback from the patient, and they are called as closed loop type. So, what is the need for a newer mode of ventilation? Is they are more safely, they can be more safely used because they will assist the patient. So there is less need for heavy sedation because it will synchronize with the patient's need. And there is less need for paralytic agents also. And it is more effectively ventilating the patient and oxygenating the patient. It will improve the patient ventilator synchrony and there will be a less hemodynamic compromise. And it is also providing us the lung protective ventilation, which is there is a less incidence of ventilator induced lung injury. And the rapid weaning is also possible in neonates. So, what are the options that are available for us? There is dual control modes, which is modern ventilators now incorporate complex computer based algorithm capable of simultaneously controlling two variables. But in basic modes, we'll have only one variable that is controlled. Either pressure is controlled or volume is controlled. But in newer modes, the dual control modes is also there. So we can control two variables in a single setting. So there are two types of control in dual control modes. One is intra-breath control, which is a dual control mode within a single breath. So in a single breath, you can control the dual control. And the other option is interbreath control, which is a dual control from breath to breath. It varies from breath and breath, breath to breath. With each breath, it varies. And what are the options available? What are the methods that we can be used in advanced purpose? One is pressure regulated volume control. In this, pressure is regulated and the volume is controlled. And the second option is volume assured pressure support. Third one is volume support. Fourth one is proportional assist ventilation. Fifth one is auto mode. Sixth one is adaptive support ventilation. Seventh mode is mandatory minute ventilation. Eighth is bi-level ventilation. Nine, neurally adjusted ventilatory assist. And 10 is Neo-Ganesh, which is also called smart care. So first we'll see one by one. The first thing is pressure regulated volume control. So as we said, it is a dual control, but breath to breath mode. So it varies from breath to breath. So this pressure regulated volume control is defined as pressure controlled ventilation with a volume target. So the volume is targeted and we'll control the pressure to provide the adequate oxygenation and ventilation to the patient. And it is a form of dual mode ventilation. This pressure regulated volume control combines the advantages of both volume control and the pressure control ventilation. So the key feature of this pressure regulated volume control is the lowest possible pressure is used to deliver the set tidal volume. So the lowest pressure is used so that the lung injury is prevented. The ventilator automatically adjusts the inspiratory pressure control level to changes in the mechanical properties of the lung or thorax on a breath by breath basis. So the ventilator will analyze the mechanical properties of lung and thorax, and it will automatically adjust the inspiratory pressure control by breath by breath basis. So how does it work? So if the ventilator will give you a test breath, it will measure a tidal volume. It will compare the tidal volume to the set tidal volume. So, and it will compare, if it is more, it will decrease your inspiratory pressure. If the set tidal volume, if the test breath is less than the set tidal volume, it will increase your inspiratory pressure and will deliver the volume. And if the set tidal volume is same with the test breath, and it will deliver the same inspiratory pressure. And the cycle continues for each breath. It will analyze the volume for each breath and it will deliver the pressure based on the breath, volume of the breath. So this graph is shown. It is shown, this graph shows the amount of tidal volume that is set for this patient, that is 500. And the test breath is given. So in this breath, it is not sufficient for the patient to deliver the 500 ml. So it automatically increases the pressure. So after increasing the pressure, that set tidal volume is achieved from 478 to 509, which is almost equal to the set tidal volume. So what are the indications of pressure regulated volume control for patient who would require the lowest possible pressure and guaranteed volume are those patients who are in need of pressure regulated volume control, and patients with acute lung injury and ARDS, and patients with apnea, so that whenever the patient breathes, the ventilator will provide the pressure to regulate that. So if the patient is not breathing also, the ventilator will analyze that the patient is not breathing, and it will increase the pressure to deliver the set tidal volume. And the patients with weak respiratory efforts. So what are the advantages of pressure regulated volume control? It guarantees desired tidal volume. So whatever the tidal volume is set will be delivered. Only the pressure will be varying. It will deliver the set tidal volume to the patient, but with the minimal pressure that is required. So it minimizes barotrauma because it delivers minimal inspiratory pressure to the patients, hence preventing barotrauma. So it will meet inspiratory flow demands, and it will facilitate the patient to automatic weaning also. The ventilator will not allow the delivered pressure to rise higher than 5 centimeters of water below the set upper limit. So what is the major advantage of this pressure regulated volume control mode is the upper limit will be set. So if the patient requires more inspiratory pressure, the ventilator will provide that, but it will not raise the pressure higher than 5 centimeters of water to the upper limit, hence preventing the barotrauma. So the ventilator will not potentially increase pressure to danger levels as it attempts to maintain the desired tidal volume. So the pressure will not be dangerously increased to provide the desired tidal volume because the upper limit of the pressure is set. The maximum delivered pressure is limited to 5 centimeters of water below the set high pressure alarm limit. High pressure alarm limit should be set at 35 to 40, not more than that. So what are the disadvantages of pressure control, pressure regulated volume control? The pressure delivered depends on the tidal volume achieved on the last breath. So for every breath the ventilator provides the pressure. So that will be determined on the last breath that the patient has taken. So the second disadvantage is intermittent patient effort. That is, so if the patient is not taking breath continuously, then the ventilator will provide variable tidal volumes because the patient is having intermittent patient efforts and varying mean airway pressure. And this method may be poorly tolerated in awake non-sedated patients. So in this graph, in the first graph, it is shown the first breath is the controlled breath, with the patient making no respiratory effort this time. The desired tidal volume achieved is 500. And the second breath is triggered by the patient who made a significant inspiratory effort. This one. Although the peak inspiratory pressure has remained the same as the first breath, a higher tidal volume results because of the higher transpulmonary pressure. So the ventilator will analyze that the patient has taken the breath. So it will decrease the amount of pressure for the next breath. So if the patient does not make any inspiratory effort with this breath, the result is a tidal volume that is lower than the set tidal volume because it has analyzed the last breath which the patient has taken. So the next method is volume assured patient pressure support. This is also a dual control within the breath. Last time we have seen breath to breath analysis, and this is a within the breath analysis. This is a modification of pressure control mode. This mode allows feedback loop based on the volume. It makes the ventilator to switch from the pressure control to the volume control if a minimal set tidal volume is not achieved. So it will provide ventilation based on the pressure control mode. But if the minimal set tidal volume is not delivered to the patient, then the ventilator automatically switches from the pressure control to the volume control. So it is operator adjusted parameters are same as in conventional pressure control mode. That is pressure limit, peak flow rate, and the ventilator rate and peak. Additionally, minimum tidal volume is also defined in this mode. So this provides an optimal inspiratory flow during assisted or controlled cycles, reducing the patient's work of breathing commonly seen in conventional modes. Unlike pressure support, this volume assured pressure support assures stable tidal volume along with the pressures supporting the patient with irregular breathing patterns. So we'll see an example. If there is an adequate patient effort in this mode, volume assured pressure control mode, if the delivered volume equals the preset volume, the configuration of the breath is similar to that of a pressure supported breath. But the flow is decelerating. The breath is flow cycled. If there is an inadequate patient effort, the flow falls below the set tidal volume within the assigned inspiratory time. The machine delivered a volume control because this tidal volume is not measured. It's not sufficient for the patient. It is inadequate for the patient by the patient. So this setting will automatically convert to a volume control mode, and it is flow targeted and it is volume cycled because it is a volume control mode. So this is an example. So this is the set pressure limit for the patient, and in here, if the patient volume is met, then the pressure control mode continues. If the tidal volume is not met by the patient effort, then it automatically changes to the volume control mode and the volume is delivered to the patient. Here it switches from the pressure control. This is pressure control and it switches from pressure control to volume control, that is flow cycled. So this is flow targeted and volume cycled. So what are the benefits of volume assured pressure support? So lower peak airway pressure, reduced patient work of breathing, and improved ventilation. Less need for sedation because it synchronizes with the patient, and improved patient comfort. What are the limitations of VAPs? So the set pressure limit should not be too high to cause unwanted volume to the lung and generate higher volume than minimal. Set flow rates must not be very low as in situations where minimal volume is not met. So it would cause a delay switch from the pressure control to the volume control and would lead to an unwanted prolongation of inspiratory time. And patients with airflow obstruction should be monitored closely in order to prevent air trapping. So, where all can you use this volume assured pressure support? So, a patient who requires a substantial level of ventilator support and has a vigorous ventilatory drive to improve gas distribution and synchrony. A patient being weaned from the ventilator, having an unstable ventilatory drive, who may require backup tidal volume as a safety net in case the patient's effort or the lung mechanics change. So now the next we move on to volume support mode of ventilation, and it is also a dual control mode of ventilation which varies from breath to breath mode, and it is an entirely spontaneous mode. So the ventilator assesses the initial breaths and steps up pressure support in subsequent breaths if the tidal volume is low. So the ventilator will assess the patient's initial breath and it will increase your pressure support if the tidal volume is low, which is delivered by the patient. And it will deliver a patient triggered pressure targeted flow cycle breath. So tidal volume is used as a feedback control to adjust the pressure support level. It adjusts pressure up and down. It can either increase the pressure or decrease the pressure depending on the tidal volume that is delivered by the patient to achieve the set volume. That is, the maximum change will be less than 3 centimeters of water. So this is the volume. So first, in the first step, a test breath is provided for 5 centimeters of water. The pressure is increased slowly until target volume is achieved. So the pressure is increased in the range of 3. Maximum 3 centimeters of water is increased. Not above that. So maximum available pressure is 5 centimeters of water below the upper limit. And tidal volume higher than the set tidal volume delivered results in low pressure here. So this can trigger the patient can trigger breath. So if apnea alarm is detected, ventilator switches to control mode. That is your PRVC. So that is what is shown in this picture. Okay, so if the test breath is provided and if it is not adequate, it will the pressure will be increased to the maximum of 5 centimeters of water below the upper pressure limit. And if the tidal volume by the patient is higher than the tidal volume that is set, then the low pressure, it will result in the low pressure. And the patient can trigger the breath as in here, fifth step. So if the apnea alarm, if the patient is not breathing, if the apnea alarm is detected, ventilator switches to automatically the control mode. So the ventilator delivers a single spontaneous pressure support type and uses variable pressure support levels to provide the target tidal volume. During weaning or awakening from anesthesia, the patient assumes the spontaneous tidal volume and the ventilator decreases the pressure support level accordingly. When the patient spontaneous tidal volume decreases, the ventilator increases the pressure support level automatically to maintain the target tidal volume. During volume support, the ventilator frequency and minute ventilation are determined by the triggering effect of the patient. The inspiratory time is determined by the patient respiratory demand. How is volume support different from the volume assured pressure support? So in volume support, we are trying to adjust the pressure so that within a few breaths, desired tidal volume is achieved. But in volume assured pressure support, we are aiming for the desired tidal volume tacked on the end to the tagged on to the end of the same breath if a pressure limited is going to fail to achieve tidal volume. So in this volume support, in few breaths, we'll achieve the desired tidal volume. But in volume assured pressure support, at the end of the same breath, we are trying to achieve the desired volume. So volume support will take minimum of 2 to 3 breaths for the desired tidal volume. But in the volume assured pressure support, in the same breath, we are going to achieve the desired tidal volume. So what are the advantages of volume support? So there is a guaranteed tidal volume and pressure supported breaths using lowest required pressure. It decreases the patient's spontaneous respiratory rate, decreases patient's work of breathing, and breath. There is a breath to breath analysis also. What are the disadvantages of volume support? The spontaneous ventilation is required because it is a completely spontaneous mode and a varying mean airway pressure. So the next mode is auto mode. So what is auto mode? The ventilator switches between mandatory and spontaneous breathing modes. So it combines volume support and pressure regulated volume control. If the patient is paralyzed, the ventilator provides PRVC, that is pressure regulated volume control. Ventilated, which is ventilator triggered pressure control. Pressure is adjusted to maintain the set tidal volume, like we saw in the first mode. If the patient breathes spontaneously for 2 consecutive breaths, the ventilator switches to volume support because it will adjust. Because the patient is taking spontaneous breath, it will convert to the spontaneous mode instead of being in the controlled mode. All breaths are patient triggered in auto mode, which is now set to volume support. And breaths are patient triggered and pressure limited. If the patient becomes apneic for 12 seconds, then the auto mode will automatically switches to pressure control mode or PRVC from the volume support, which is the spontaneous mode. So the next mode is adaptive support ventilation. It is a dual control breath to breath mode. It provides a mandatory minute ventilation. Uniqueness is it sets the minimal work of breathing to deliver desired minute ventilation. Pressure is the control value in adaptive support ventilation, that is ASV. It uses both pressure control and pressure support to maintain a set minimal tidal volume using the least required settings for minimal work of breathing depending on the patient's condition and effort. The set parameters are ideal body weight, minimum minute ventilation, and PEEP. So what are the indications of adaptive support ventilation? So full or partial ventilatory support that is required by the patient, and patients requiring a lowest possible peak inspiratory pressure and a guaranteed tidal volume. Acute lung injury and ARDS. Patients not breathing spontaneously and not triggering the ventilator. And it facilitates weaning. So how does your ASV work? So the input is your patient's ideal body weight and the desired percentage minute volume. The body weight is used to estimate the dead space ventilation and to calculate the alveolar volume. For an estimated minute ventilation requirement for a patient, the ventilator uses predetermined setting of 100 ml per kg per minute for adults and 200 ml per kg per minute in pediatric patients. Once target minute ventilation is set, the ventilator uses test breaths to measure the system compliance, airway resistance, and intrinsic peak. Following that, the ventilator selects and provides the frequent inspiratory time, that is IE ratio and the high pressure limit for the mandatory spontaneous trigger. So no spontaneous trigger. If there is no spontaneous trigger, the ventilator will provide the set mandatory tidal volume. As the patient starts to trigger the ventilator, mandatory breaths decreases and the pressure support level increases until the preset tidal volume is achieved. So this is the mandatory breaths in ASV. So if there are the mandatory breaths in ASV is if the patient is not taking breaths. So that those mandatory breaths are machine triggered, pressure limiter and time cycle. And in assist breaths, that will be flow triggered by the patient. And it's pressure limiter, flow, pressure or time cycle by the patient. So what are the advantages of ASV? It provides you the guaranteed tidal volume and minimal patient work of breathing. Weaning is done automatically and continuous. There will be gradual weaning. Decelerating flow for improved gas distribution, and there is a breath to press analysis. What are the disadvantages of ASV? The mean airway pressure is always varying with breath to breath. If the patient is taking breath or if the patient is not taking breath, the airway pressure is going to change for every breath. And there is a possible respiratory muscle atrophy. And a sudden increase in respiratory rate and demand may result in decrease in the ventilator support. The next method is PSV. The proportional assist ventilation. In this method, it is similar to the proportional pressure support mode of ventilation. There is no target flow, no volume or pressure change during mechanical ventilation. So there is no target flow, no target tidal volume, no target pressure, no target inspirator pressure also during mechanical ventilation. The pressure used to provide the pressure support is variable and is in proportion to the patient's pulmonary characteristics. It improves ventilator patient synchrony, gives patient freedom to adopt his own breathing pattern, and there is no fixed breathing pattern. So it will allow synchrony with the patient. So it is 100% supportive only. So, for example, there is nothing is set here. There is no target volume. There is no target pressure also. Only we give only the pressure support from the ventilator. So, if the patient start the patient at 70% support, the pressure support. This is a percentage of support, not pressure support, and wean back to stabilize. So, once the patient starts improving, then you can come down on the pressure, come down on the percentage of the support and stabilize the patient and wean accordingly. So what are the disadvantages of this proportional assist ventilation? If the patient improves or worsens, proportion of assistant needs to be readjusted according to the patient clinical condition. This disadvantage has been adjusted in the newer mode, that is auto mode, because it switches automatically from the spontaneous to pressure control. May prolong the inspiratory time automatically, and patient with airflow obstruction should be monitored closely in order to prevent air trapping. So next is MMV, that is mandatory minute ventilation. It is a modification of pressure support ventilation, and the ventilator takes the feedbacks to alter both respiratory rate and the level of pressure support to achieve set minimum minute ventilation. Operator sets minimum minute ventilation, that is 70 to 90% of the current minute volume, which is readjusted to the patient clinical condition. Patient fails to achieve set volume, the ventilator provides the deficit. So the patient is not able to breathe or achieve the set tidal volume, the ventilator will provide the deficit that is not achieved by the patient. And it is a reliable weaning mode, and in enabling patient, this MMV sets safely by providing a set value ventilation as mandatory ventilation. So what are the disadvantages in MMV? If minute ventilation is too low than the current, I mean the set mandatory minute ventilation is too low than the current minute ventilation, then the patient will have increased work of breathing to achieve the minute ventilation. If it is too high, that the mandatory breath is too high than the required minute ventilation, then the patient will go in for unloading of muscles, which will result in atrophy. The patient won't be using the muscles to breathe. That will ultimately result in an atrophy. And the rapid shallow breathing occurs if a respiratory rate set is too high. What is bi-level ventilation? The next mode of ventilation is a spontaneous breathing mode as in your volume support, in which two levels of pressure is set, high and low. Substantial improvements for spontaneous breathing with better synchronization, more options for supporting spontaneous breath, potential for improved breathing, also called as biphasic, bivent or duo-PAP. So this is your pressure. This is your bi-level ventilation. So this is your lower limit that is set and the upper limit that is set. This mode will deliver ventilation based on pressure control breath, time trigger and time cycle breaths. So next is bi-level. So bi-level, as we said, there are two pressures set. One is high pressure and the low pressure. This mode maintains a constant pressure even in the face of spontaneous breathing. That is the advantage of this method. And two time intervals are also set. This is a high time and this is a low time. The high time and low time. So high time, this one, and the pressure. The x-axis shows your time, high time. The y-axis shows your pressure, high pressure and low pressure. The patient is allowed to breathe spontaneously in both these pressures. So same. This BiPAP is basically the combination of CPAP. CPAP, we provide only one pressure, that is a minimal pressure to support the patient in spontaneous mode. So this pressure control will provide both high and low pressure. So this is a combination of this. And pressure in high pressure limit is set and it will provide oxygenation and promotes alveolar recruitment. In the low pressure, lowest pressure, it will allow exhalation and maintains recruitment. So time, why that is important is it will promote unrestricted spontaneous breathing and it will allow reduced sedation and promote weaning from the ventilator. So same thing, pressure high and pressure low, it creates a driving pressure and determines tidal volume. What are the advantages? Permits gas to enter the lung units and represents difference between airway pressure and alveolar pressure. And the other next mode of ventilation is airway pressure release ventilation, APR. It is a bi-level form of ventilation with sudden short release in pressure to reduce FRC and allow for ventilation. There will be a sudden short release of pressure which will reduce FRC and allow for ventilation. So the residual volume is reduced and the ventilation is improved. It can work both in spontaneous and apneic patients, utilizes a very short expiratory time for pressure release. APRB always implies an inverse IE ratio. So it provides two levels of CPAP and allows spontaneous breathing at both levels when spontaneous effort is present. Both pressure levels are time triggered and time cycled. The release phase, that is here, or the expiratory phase, brings down mean airway pressure and plays significant role in maintaining normocarpia. For the dual functionality of APRB, spontaneous breathing patterns. In spontaneous breathing patients, the patient breathes with supported breaths, thus reducing need for sedation. In case of absent spontaneous breathing, the bi-level pressure acts as time cycle inverse ratio ventilation. So the same thing. There are spontaneous breaths by the patient, and once that is done, it is released. The functional residual capacity is reduced. And once if there is no spontaneous breath by the patient, then like here. And then the tidal volume is given to the patient here. What are the indications of APRB? Partial to full ventilatory support in acute lung injury and ARDS. Patient with refractory hypoxemia due to collapsed alveoli. Patient with massive atelectasis. Advantages we have already said, but advantages being it will allow your inverse ratio with or without spontaneous breathing, which means there is a less need for sedation and paralysis, and improves patient ventilatory synchrony if spontaneous breathing is present, and improves oxygenation by stabilizing collapsed alveoli, allows patient to breathe spontaneously while continuing the lung recruitment. What are the risks and disadvantages? It can provide variable tidal volume and it is harmful in patients with COPD and asthma. Auto-PEEP is usually present and caution with hemodynamically unstable patient because sudden collapse can occur. Asynchrony. Spontaneous breaths are out of sync with each time, with release time. Requires the presence of an active exhalational valve. So the next is NAVA. NAVA is neurally adjusted ventilatory assist, a mode of mechanical ventilation in which the patient's electrical activity of the diaphragm, that is EADI, electrical activity of diaphragm is used to guide the optimal functions of the ventilator. The neural controls of respiration originated in the patient's respiratory center are sent to the diaphragm via the phrenic nerve. And then the bipolar electrodes are used to pick up the electrical activity. The electrodes are mounted on a disposable catheter and positioned in the esophagus at the level of diaphragm. Components being software, module, and cable and catheter. So the catheter has electrode array which contains 10 electrodes to measure the current, and esophageal ECG is also placed. The coating of the catheter for easier insertion activated by dipping in water, and bearing stripping a strip for X-ray identification. Signal capture. The electrical activity of the diaphragm is captured by an esophageal catheter with an attached electrode array. The signal is then filtered in several steps, provides the input for the control of respiratory assist delivered by the ventilator. So how this works is, so this is neuroventilatory coupling. What is neuroventilatory coupling is the central nervous system. It picks up signals directly from the central nervous system and gives to the ventilatory unit. That is the ideal technology because that would be accurate. And the other technologies that we saw, that is NAVA. The signal comes from the central nervous system, conducted through the phrenic nerve, and it will excite your diaphragm. And that diaphragmatic excitation is measured and that is sent to the ventilator unit. Further, that this diaphragmatic excitation is manifested as diaphragm contraction, and the chest wall and lung expansion is done, and that will be seen as a airway pressure flow control, volume control. And that will be that information will be provided by the ventilator. That is the current technology. So in a healthy subject, only 5% of the maximum capacity of neuroventilatory coupling is used to generate an adequate tidal volume. So this is the current that is generated in a healthy patient. Only 5% of the maximum capacity is used. But in COPD patient, up to 10% of the neuroventilatory coupling is used to generate. And in post-polio patients also, because of the chest wall muscle atrophy and dysfunction. What are the indications of NAVA? Management and weaning of mechanically ventilated patients in spinal cord injury, patients with head injury, COPD, and history of ventilator dependence. So the latest thing is NeoGanesh, also known as Smart Care. It's a closed-loop medication type of modification of PSV with integrated artificial intelligence. 3 fundamental principles. So it adapts pressure support to patients' preset clinical condition. In case of stability, weans of pressure support. Initiate spontaneous breathing trial as per pre-recorded clinical guidelines. And the ventilator takes the feedback from monitored respiratory rate, tidal volume, and then tidal carbon dioxide. And the trials have been shown it reduces weaning failure and hastens weaning duration. Just to summarize, we'll see a point about each ventilator setting. So PRVC uses lowest possible pressure to deliver set tidal volume, and ventilatory assured pressure support uses pressure control mode with set minimal tidal volume. Volume support is exclusive spontaneous mode with no apneic ventilation. Auto mode is combination of volume support and PRVC switches from spontaneous and mandatory. And ASV is adaptive spontaneous ventilation is feed idle. You have to feed idle body weight to and minimal minute ventilation to the ventilator, and it will deliver the minimal minute ventilation. And mandatory minute ventilation is the reliable weaning mode, and it delivers 60 to 90% of the minimum minute ventilation. And in PAV, the clinician does not set any normal. It provides only percentage of support. And in APRV, short expiratory time or the short expiratory pressure release, which will provide inverse IE ratio. In NAVA, can be used in children and neonates, prevents disuse atrophy of the diaphragm. And in SmartCare, NeoGanesh, this is also called as intensivist brain, and artificial intelligence is also used. So to summarize, never used. So some of these types of ventilator settings, new and modes are never used in a day-to-day OT practice. Never used for initiation of ventilation. This is all only for weaning and to maintain the respiratory effort by the patient, to encourage weaning and rehabilitation. And these are only the weaning modes of ventilation. Advanced modes are all intelligent modes of ventilation. These reduce because it senses everything, the tidal volume reduction or the pressure support reduction, and it will adjust immediately. So you may not need a person to be adjusting it continuously or on a regular timing. So this will reduce the workload of the ICU personnel. And the 3 A's for the better outcome. They will provide synchrony, spontaneous breathing. They will encourage spontaneous breathing and the lesser need for sedation. And it is closed loop as we discussed, so less work in ICU. Quick weaning, so shorter duration in stay in ICU and improved patient prognosis. High patient safety. Automated mechanical ventilation is now the future. So these are my references for this advanced mode of ventilation. Thank you.